Alexander Graham Bell? Well, Alexander Graham Bell is a Scottish inventor born on March 3, 1847 in Edinburgh, Scotland. At an early age, Bell was interested in making new things. This curiosity in making new things would later lead to him creating amazing inventions. Bell also showed great interest in speech and phonetics, just like his father and grandfather did. This interest would later lead to him getting involved in the deaf community. As Bell's curiosity of making new things grew, he would make his first invention at 12 years old called the wheat husker. The wheat husker would start a path of making new things and later lead to Bell creating amazing inventions. Bell later on in his life would create one of his most revolutionizing inventions called the telephone in 1847. The telephone has quite possibly had the greatest telecommunication advancement ever. But Bell's telephone was unique from some of his other inventions, like the telegraph, which could only send messages in code, but the telephone could send long-distance messages that were faster and more personal. Bell's telephone would later become an essential tool both for personal use and business-type uses. But many years after Bell's invention of the telephone, the first mobile phone would be invented in the 1980s, which would yet revolutionize the industry of telecommunication once again. This phone would make it possible to call on the go, and this widespread adoption of mobile phones would also later lead to people using them for internet access and entertainment in later years. Bell's invention of the telephone was also widely surrounded by controversy and legal battles over patent infringement. Several other inventions such as Elijah Gray and Antonio Meucci also claimed to have independently created similar devices decades before. This resulted in lengthy lawsuits, with Gray and Meucci both filing patent claims for their own independent versions of the telephone. Although Bell was granted the patent for the telephone, the validity of Bell's claims will remain a subject of debate and research. Many people know about Bell's inventions, but many do not know that he was also a deaf educator. One of the reasons Bell got involved with the deaf community was because his mother was deaf. Yet Bell's methods of teaching would cause a lot of controversy over the years. He was still known very well to help deaf people with his method called visible speech. But this great involvement with the deaf community would later lead to him befriending Helen Keller. He would also end up opening his own school in Boston, the Vocal Physiology and Mechanics of Speech, where deaf people were taught to speak. But some people might think of Alexander Graham Bell as a controversial figure among the deaf community. His views on deafness and deaf people were seen by many as paternalistic or elitist. Bell believed in oralism, the method of teaching deaf people to speak and lip read instead of using sign language, because Bell considered sign language as inferior and not a natural way to communicate. Many deaf individuals and organizations argued that oralism was a form of cultural genocide and that sign language was a valid and important aspect of deaf culture. They felt that Bell's views were condescending and insensitive to the deaf people. But despite this controversy, Bell is still widely recognized for his inventions and involvement in the deaf community. In conclusion, Bell's inventions have profoundly impacted society, transforming the way people communicate and connect in ways that were not previously possible. Alexander Graham Bell's inventions have profoundly changed the world, and its legacy continues to shape the future for telecommunication. Today, the telephone and other inventions will remain an essential tool across the world, and Bell's impact on society will still be felt.